Yo book nerds, I finished reading Miles Morales' Suspended by Jason Reynolds. This is the second book in the Miles Morales novel series. This is the final book that's out. I don't know if more are planned or not. When I looked it up, I didn't find a definite answer. Unlike the first book, this book is illustrated. There are pictures in it, and the illustrations are by Zeke Pena. This book was very different than the first book. I think I went into the first book with different expectations and I was left disappointed. And then with this book, I decided to go in with I wouldn't say lower expectations, but just kind of no expectations. And I had a much better time. Miles Morales is suspended, literally in school, is an in-school suspension. And this story follows one day. The entire book is one day of in-school suspension. So the setup is very interesting, and it also begs the question, how do you have a superhero novel without much action? There is some action, but it is minimal. The story is really more a commentary on some social issues and more about Miles as a person than Miles as Spider-Man. This book also has sections that are written in poetry, free verse poetry, and I just, some pages have no words on it, but I just enjoyed the poetry so much. I feel like Jason Reynolds found his stride with the poetry. I had some issues with his prose in the first book, and I had way less issues with this book, and I think it's because I really liked the poetry. So what is this book about? Like I said, Miles is in school suspension, and there are some other kids that have been suspended with him. The reason they're suspended is explained in the first book, so I don't want to say too much in case you haven't read it yet. But this is a continuation of the story, literally the next day. So Miles is suspended, and when he's in the classroom for the day, he's noticing some bugs. There are some bugs crawling on his chair, some crawling on his neighbor's chair, and he quickly finds out that they are termites. And without saying too much, you quickly find out that the termites are more sinister than just regular bugs. And so it's very weird, but it is very interesting. I did enjoy this much more than the first book. It was still weird. It was weird, and honestly, if there are more books in the series, I don't know if I will continue, but the second book I did enjoy more than the first book, so I think it was worth continuing for this book. I want to share some poems and some lines that I really enjoyed from the story. There's a poem called History Class. You ever had a teacher who taught you like they were teaching you a lesson? I hope I'm not a teacher like that. Like teaching you a lesson, like you're in trouble all the time. Like I want to teach because I'm excited about English class. I'm an English teacher. I want to teach and get kids excited about it. I don't want to be like, you will learn this because you need to learn it, and be that harsh teacher. I don't know. That's just not my style. You ever had a teacher who taught you like they were teaching you a lesson? That really resonated with me. And then a few pages later, there's another poem called History Class, which is very similar, and it goes, you ever had a teacher who taught you student was a synonym for stupid? And again, it really struck me as a teacher. I never want my students to think that I think they're stupid or to feel like they're stupid in my class. I want my class to be an exploration, a place where learning is exciting and not I'm looking down on you because you don't know something. So again, that resonated with me. This next poem, it's called Ugh, 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 and it just made me kind of laugh. Why should anyone have to take math first thing in the morning? If the brain could do numbers this early in the day, people my age wouldn't be late to class all the time. I thought that was hilarious. I'm not a math person. I can do math, but it's not my favorite subject. So like, yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be doing math first thing in the morning. I just think that's funny. This next one's not a poem, but it's more of an idea and a quote. But Miles was like talking about the Big Bang and how it created the universe. And then there's this quote that comes a little later. And he says, poems were like smaller bangs, making many new worlds. And I think that's beautiful. Like all writing is like that. All authors do is create new worlds. And I just think that's so beautiful. They're just little bangs, little big bangs, creating those new worlds. Now I have a quote for you about censorship. This book is a huge commentary on censorship, both of books and of people. And this line just hits it right on the head. You know, Miles, the bad guy's talking. I'm not going to tell you who it is because it would spoil things, but the bad guy is saying this to Miles. You know, Miles, not every book is meant to exist. Just because a person has a story doesn't mean it needs to live in the world. There are right stories and there are wrong ones, and we're just making sure there's space for the right ones. Like, who gets to decide what books we should read or should not read? Who gets to decide what person is of value and what person is not of value? Like, this censorship, like, we just had banned books week, guys. Like, this is a perfect book to be reading for banned books week. Like, it just passed, unfortunately, but for next year, like, keep this in mind because it's a huge commentary on censorship, and we should have the freedom to read what we want to read and make up our own minds, and we should have the freedom to tell our stories and not be silenced. No matter who you are, everyone is important. Everyone has value. Then in response to this, there is a poem called I wonder if my mother's story matters. Mi abuela in Loiza. My father's story, my uncle's story, my cousin's story. I wonder if Alicia's story matters, or Genki's story, his Korean-American parents, or Nick's story of war, or Martel's of sport. I wonder if the stories of the barbershop matter, or the ones that spill out, the bodega tales, and the ones caught between the lips of bench kissers. I wonder if my story matters, or is it meant to be pulled from the shelf, pages ripped from the spine, nod and nod, as in nod like you gnaw on something, or nah, as in like nah. I just think that last line is beautiful. Nod or nod. This is something I try to instill in my students. Like, they matter, their stories matter, only they can tell their stories, and they need to find their voice in writing, in reading. Like, I'm just like, I just love this. I love it. Anyway, that's the last quote I'm going to talk about, but overall I enjoyed the book. There was 2 pages that were in Morse code, or what I assume is Morse code. Let's see if I can find it quickly. But I tried to like look up what was being said. Like, I tried to Google it, and I used 2 different Morse code translators, and neither one could translate it because it kept like erroring on, like, if there were 3 dots, it would change it to an ellipses, and then it wouldn't translate it. And so I quickly gave up because I was not going to spend so much time trying to figure out what this said if the author wasn't going to bother to translate them. So if anyone knows Morse code and wants to tell me what these say, like, I don't know what they say, and I'd be interested, but I'm not going to keep trying to figure it out. I don't know why that's in there. The spots where they're at, Miles is shooting a web, and it's like his web, but I don't know what's being said in Morse code, but it was just an interesting choice, I think. So yeah. Another thing that was interesting is Miles is on like a mission to do a book drive for a prison because he thinks that the books would be important for the incarcerated person's rehabilitation. And I agree. That actually really resonated with me personally because the last 3 years, I think now, I've done a book drive for a prison by me, and I think it's so important to get books in the hands of the IPs, the incarcerated persons, because they don't get many and they don't have a lot of other recreational things to do. And if we want people to actually be rehabilitated and when they're released be better for society, like, I think books are a huge assist in that area. And so I'm actually going to be doing my 4th book drive coming up really fast here. I usually do it in November and then try to get the books to the prison before Christmas, so it's kind of like a Christmas present. But yeah, I've been doing that the last 3 years and it's been wonderful. And so I highly encourage you, if there's a prison in your area, to maybe try to do something like that, because I feel like people in our prison systems, some of them are bad people, but some of them are just people that have made some bad mistakes and they shouldn't get forgotten about. And I'm a Christian, so like, I feel like Christians focus on helping the poor and the sick, which is great, but Jesus also told us to help the incarcerated, and so I'm trying to do that and encourage that. So that part resonated with me. All right, I'll get off my high horse there now. Sorry, my voice, if my voice sounds off, I'm fighting a cold. So sorry if my voice sounds weird in this video, but anyway, back to the book. Again, I enjoyed it. I loved the poetry. The story was okay, but I loved the poetry. Definitely enjoyed this more than the first book, and I would give it a read. I thought it was good. It was interesting. It was weird. It was what it was. Middle grade. It was easy, and it took me like no time to read it. So, I mean, it's very fast paced. And like I said, there's like very few words on some pages or none at all on some. So like the format is weird, but it is what it is. I liked it. Definitely won't be my book of the year or anything, but I definitely liked it more than the first book. So I'm glad I stuck with it and I read it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments and we can chat there. I have started my next read. I am reading Essential Tales and Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. It's a collection of his short stories and poetry and some essays and things like that. So I am enjoying it already. I've just started it though. So I'm going to keep reading this through spooky season, and I am going to be enjoying every second of it. That's all I have for you guys today. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for talking books with me.